Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the first segment of Our Infrastructure Matters, a public affairs programming highlighting infrastructure and projects that impact our region, told through the lens of Local 825 of the International Union of Operating Engineers. I'm Tom Bergeron, your host, and I'm speaking with Greg Lalevee, the business manager of Local 825. Greg, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Tom. It's good to be here.
Greg, tell the viewers a little bit about your background, how long you've been with 825, and how long you've been with the current position.
Sure, as unbelievable as this is to say, this is my 40th year as a member of Local 825. I have been the business manager since 2010. So I've seen a lot of projects, a lot of infrastructure projects come and go over that time.
So that makes a great point. And it's funny, we were talking about this pre-show. If I was talking to the head of the electricians or the carpenters or the plumbers, everyone would have an immediate idea of what you do. You say operating engineers, it sounds impressive, but I don't know that anybody gets a full detail of what you do. Talk a little bit about some of the projects you're working on and the different sectors you impact.
Sure, it is impressive because we are the men and women who operate the construction equipment, the cranes, excavators, bulldozers, all of that, those things you see out on infrastructure projects. And what we like to say about operating engineers is we touch every phase of your life. So you wake up in the morning, to your alarm clock. We've worked on the electrical grid, whether it's generating or distributing the power. We've worked on the water systems when you turn your shower on, installing the water systems or building the treatment plants. We've done the same with the gas infrastructure, whether it's mainline transmission or the distribution network through our neighborhoods. We've built the roads and the bridges all through the state, from the Turnpike and Parkway all the way down to Maple Street in Anytown, New Jersey. And we've worked on everything in between. We've replenished our beaches after storms. We've built the stadiums. We've built the arenas. So we get involved in almost every facet of everybody's life.
So you've talked about big and small and everywhere in between. I'm going to go bigger and bigger and bigger and talk about that little gateway project that we're going to do. Talk about how the operating engineers will be involved in all of that.
Sure. Well, Gateway is a program, a large program on the Northeast Corridor of Amtrak. So there's several things that comprise Gateway. One of those components is the Portal Bridge, which is under construction right now, little more than halfway done. At peak, we had 95 operating engineers working there. So there were 95 people running some piece of equipment or working, maintaining as a mechanic some piece of equipment. Uh, when you think about the other people on that job, there are hundreds of craftsmen working on that bridge. Of course, Gateway, most people think of the tunnel. The tunnel for the under the Hudson River are in process, if you will. There is a utility relocation being done on the New Jersey side. There's probably a dozen of our members there. There is a soil improvement being done in the middle of the Hudson River with operating engineers from New York. There is a shaft being dug on the New York side of the Hudson River. And somewhere around December, we anticipate a tunnel boring machine going in where the utility relocation is happening now on Tunnelly Avenue and starting to drill from that spot up right onto the border of Weehawken and Hoboken, where another shaft will be dug. And the first tunnel boring machine will get going when it's into the ground about 12 to 1400 feet. Then a second tunnel will be, because the gateway tunnels are two passages under the Hudson River. And then the Sawtooth Bridge in Newark is also part of the broader Gateway program. That's in the bidding pipeline also. The engineering piece has been given out. So lots of things Gateway going on in New Jersey right now.
So it's Tom Bergeron, the editor of ROI&J. I'm talking with Greg Lalevee, the business manager of Local 825. And I want to address an issue about unions. Everybody knows unions. We're a proud union state, but I think there's one misconception. And Greg, you and I have talked about this for years. A lot of people see unions and see that they're battling and they're fighting against business and government, whether it's local or state. But I know 825 and all the other unions in the state are working together to build the economy. Talk about how unions are a part of the economic puzzle that's helping the state grow.
For those of us that are in construction, a healthy economy is a healthy construction business. So we will align ourselves with any and all businesses to try to make sure that we have the right kind of environment that businesses want to locate here, to have the right transportation networks, to have the right level of energy available so that companies will want to come here. This is what we do because construction and the economy move hand in hand. So we need a robust economy. We will work with the utility companies. We will work with major corporations. We really don't fight with anybody per se. We try to find partnerships and collaborations because at the end of the day, for us, the only fight to have is to make sure that our 7,800 members go to work, earn a living, support their families, and become part of the economy. They're the ones who buy homes, who take their families on vacation, who put their kids through school, who will spend just about every dollar they earn and dump it back into the economy.
So let's talk about the we and let's talk about the 7,800. Another misconception, and for a long time it was true when you thought of union workers, they look like you and me. But as we move forward, and even today, more women than ever, more people of color. I know the recruitment to expand the union to make it represent what our state is has been growing, and 825 has been a leader of that, even with a really unique program I'm going to have you talk about with Hudson Community College. But talk about how you're growing your membership and why that's important.
Well, it's important to open the door to the middle class for everybody. We go to career fairs all over the state at high schools, educating people about what we do, how we do it. The great part about that is we do connect. When we open up our apprentice program, we do it in an online portal. Our applications are usually gone in a matter of minutes. It's a competitive process to get here. People want to do it. And at the end of the day, to your point, we do want to reflect the state that we live in. That's healthy for everybody.
The agreement that you had with Hudson Community College, where you're helping the union engineers train better, and it's something that I think you're going to try to work around the state. Give us a little more detail with that.
Sure. We call it preparing the operating engineer of the future. So we run heavy equipment, and much as we see all equipment in almost every phase of our life, it's becoming more automated. There's processes that are becoming machine control. There's GPS control on some of the excavators, bulldozers, and other equipment. There's even some autonomous control that's being experimented with. So we believe that we have to up our level of education. The idea of learning by the seat of your pants, which is what, our forefathers did, pretty much what I did, is really no longer an option. The work isn't going away. The work is transforming, and we want to make sure that our members can transform with it. At the end of the day, you can have a GPS control on a machine, but somebody has to program it. And that somebody, in our view, should also be somebody that knows how to run the machine. That will be a productive employee. And getting back to how we collaborate with companies, we're all about productivity and making sure that the contractors we work for are always in a competitive advantage. So we're training the operating engineer of the future. And we did a partnership with Hudson Community College where our students got a certain number of credits about their apprenticeship work, and then they did traditional classroom work. And there's nothing wrong with an operating engineer in construction knowing how to write a report and taking basic English, knowing basic math, it's out there on the job site, knowing how to interact with people. And we had 22 of our apprentices graduate last year with an associate's degree in technical studies. And we continue to try to figure out and work on answering the question of what is a good curriculum for an operating engineer to have that will serve the businesses that we work for.
And I know that 825 is ahead of the curve on that. Other unions in New Jersey have contacted you about the program, and I think you've heard from others around the country. This really is a new way to train people, and hats off to you guys for leading the charge.
I appreciate that. And, again, we see this as the operating engineer of the future. That's how we've coined it. That's where all of the work is going to. That's where the machinery is moving to, is into a world of, higher technological skills. And we're going to be there to meet that future.
Operating engineers are the men and women who move mountains and build New Jersey. Responsible for our region's tallest building, constructing our modern energy grid, cleaning up our environment, replenishing our beaches, cleaning up at ground zero, building our next great transportation corridor, and training the next generation of skilled builders. Headquartered in Springfield, IUOE Local 825 represents more than 8,200 heavy equipment operators, mechanics and surveyors in the construction industry, as well as stationary engineers who work in operations and maintenance buildings and industrial complexes across New Jersey and in the lower Hudson Valley of New York. With our training and skill, we do the job right, on time and on budget. We keep the lights on and the trains running. We build the bridges and pave the roads. We protect the shore. We rebuild our cities. We clean up the past and we build our tomorrow. Operating Engineers Local 825. Better building begins here.
It's Tom Bergeron. I'm the editor of ROI-NJ. I'm with Greg Lalevee, the business manager for Local 825 of the International Union of Operating Engineers. This is Our Infrastructure Matters. We're talking about all things unions in the state of New Jersey, and we're talking just a few weeks after the presidential election. So let's dig into that. What does it mean to have an election at the federal level? How does that impact what you're doing? Do you see it right away? Give us some reaction to the presidential election.
Well, the good thing about infrastructure is it is neither Democrat nor Republican. Both sides want that road built or the bridge redone. Any member of Congress wants to have the road or bridge redone in his or her district, and they'll fight to bring those funds home. Most infrastructure bills, when they go through Congress, earn a robust amount of votes. With 435 members of Congress, it's not unusual to see 380 yes votes on an infrastructure program for clean water or roads or anything in the infrastructure space. So it's agnostic politically, which is great. It comes down really to priorities. What are the priorities of that administration or that president or governor? Where are they going to lean in? What are they going to seek to do? How are they going to look to fund it? And being in the middle of those conversations for us is absolutely crucial because, again, we want to help speed projects from an administration to the street to keep our members working. So we're back into that collaborative effort where we don't want to fight with the government. We want to sit there and be, an asset, a helping hand, a collaborator, and move things along as to whatever their priorities are. Again, as I've said to people, New Jersey did a big push for offshore wind. I'm a crane operator. I'm just, curious from my past. I would love to be out there and set a windmill out in the middle of the ocean. At the same time, if that's not what a current government's priorities are, and it's going to go into more, President-elect Trump has said, drill, baby, drill. Our members run drills too. So we're agnostic into what we're actually operating on the other end. We want to help whomever reach their goals. Really where we lean in with governments and may have some friction is if policy takes things too far one way or the other. For instance, in the space of energy, we believe in a balance, not giving out to just one piece. And we know New Jersey is a congested state. We have more and more people. We have a large demand for energy. Businesses have a large demand for energy. If you're going to site a factory, almost half your cost is in energy. So we need good, solid energy policy that balances all types of generation so that we can move forward just as a state and be able to meet the demands that the people who live here are going to have.
Another thing that you need is funding. In this state, we have the Transportation Trust Fund, which has been in the news a lot in the last couple of years. Tell me how that's working for you. Is it doing all that it can be, and are you happy with it?
The Transportation Trust Fund has been getting better. Back in 2016, we had a big fight. It meant raising the gas tax, not anything anybody wanted to do. We had just over years of political gamesmanship by both sides gotten ourselves into a corner. And luckily, with a Democratic legislature and Republican governor, we found a way to reach compromise and move forward. The current administration in New Jersey, with Governor Murphy, he's found a way to refinance bonds and free money up. So things are moving in the right direction at the Transportation Trust Fund, which is a good thing, because that funds our highway program in connection with federal matching funds. The Transportation Trust Fund bill that passed back in 2016 also greatly increased the amount of money that went to local governments so that towns and counties could have a little more say in improving their roads. So all of that's moving in the right direction right now.
So I'm going to give you one more moving in a direction for the next 12 months. You've got an incoming federal administration, and because of the way our election cycle works, you have an outgoing New Jersey administration, one last year of Governor Murphy, which means that there's going to be huge campaigning for the next governor. How does that impact what you're doing the next year? I mean, you can't be constantly watching all of these races and this and that. This is an interesting transition year. You got to be watching it. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, in New Jersey, we have the distinction of every year being election year. So some states run all of their elections in even numbered years, so it coincides with the federal elections. New Jersey doesn't do that. So we always have to have our eye on shifting sands and who's around. But as we watch, now I think we're at 9 candidates for governor. We're going to be watching and interacting with what they're putting forward as their plans in the transportation and infrastructure space, because that's really how our members are going to get to work. And in the end, we're going to find ourselves supportive of those who are trying to move projects and move them smartly. We don't come from the world of destroy it all and just build. Most of our rank and file members are hunters and fishermen. We have no interest at all in destroying the environment. In fact, on the environmental side of things, we find our members engaged very often in hazardous material cleanup, where we're improving the environment and improving the land. So we're going to look for those candidates that have a plan, and what we believe is a smart one for smart growth.
You've been watching Our Infrastructure Matters, a public affairs programming highlighting infrastructure and projects that impact our region, told through the lens of Local 825 of the International Union of Operating Engineers. Greg Lalevee, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate it.
Nestled along an old quarry lake in central Jersey, the soaring cranes of the local 825 training center can be seen from the New Jersey Turnpike. This high-tech facility is where union operating engineers go to learn how to safely operate cranes, dozers, and other high-powered heavy equipment seen at construction sites around the state. Inside, they have construction equipment simulators, welding simulators, and classrooms. Outside, they have instructors teaching them the fine points of their trade. Next time you're on the New Jersey Turnpike between exits 8A and 9, look for us on the southbound side. Local 825 Operating Engineers, the best trained operating engineers in New Jersey.